Hey guys, gbabbits here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at the latest trick by Geraint Clarke and Christian Grace, and it's called Any Thought of Card to Pocket. Let's get right to it. Welcome. If you're new here, I'm gbabbits, and I'm really excited to take a look at this new trick with you. This is Any Thought of Card to Pocket. It's available from Ellusionist for about 35 bucks. I'll leave a link down in the description where you can pick it up, and if you use the code gbabbits, you'll score 10% off your order, so that's pretty sweet. But let's take a look at what exactly this trick is and what you get in your order. This trick, and it's actually described right on the back, but to summarize this, you take your deck of cards, shuffle it, give it to the spectator, and have them take 10 cards from the deck. They look at those 10 and they pick one. They just think of it. They don't show you the card, nothing. They just think of the card. And then magically, without you ever touching them, one of the cards disappears from the cards they're holding and it winds up in your pocket. And guess what? It's the card they thought of. How cool is that? It's a mind blower. So that's the premise of the trick. It's really cool. It works really well. You can see by the trailer that they have for it, it's awesome. But what do we actually get when we purchase this? Well, first things first, we get this packet that's right here in our hands. This is a sleeve, Any Thought of Card to Pocket. It has the info on it. The description on the back, kind of what I just mentioned. If we open it up, there is actually a link to the instructions for the trick itself right in there. It's a link that has 5 video tutorials that run a total of about an hour and 45 minutes. It also comes with a deck of cards. Why red cards? Well, because inside of the sleeve we get a packet of gaff cards and another gaff card. This is the only one I'm going to show you because, well, it comes in a lot of custom decks of cards anyway. This is a double backer. These special gaff cards are really awesome. Unfortunately, I can't show you what they are because that might just ruin the trick itself. In addition to the gaff cards, to be able to perform this trick, you also need an ace of spades and a joker. These don't come with this, but they are in this deck here, so you can just pull them out and use them. It is kind of necessary for the trick to work using the basic handling. The cool part is, once you know what all these cards are, if you know how to do the actual trick itself, you can use different gaff cards from different decks, or you can make your own, so you're not just limited to using this specific deck. This is a normal deck of bicycle cards. It's not a marked deck. It's not anything fancy. It's just regular cards. But you can absolutely do this trick with other decks. If you want to do the gaff version, and we'll get to the variations in a little bit, you will need those gaffs for that deck though, which may require you making them. So I want to get around and talk to the videos a little bit. I'm going to jump back and forth here, but Clarke and Grace both present 2 very different styles of performance during these tutorials, and it's really cool. One is built on experience performing, and the other is with a depth of knowledge of theory and psychology. I personally felt like I was getting spoiled a bit because it was like watching 2 experts just jamming, and they're teaching each other while trying to teach me, and here I am getting the best of both worlds. Of the 5 videos that are provided, 2 of them, which together have a running time of about an hour and a half, those 2 teach the actual handlings and performances of the trick and its variations. The other videos share the origin, the credits, as well as outtakes from filming. These other videos are short though. The hunk of everything is in that hour and a half of tutorial. The basic version of the trick needs the included gaff cards and a standard deck. One of the variations they teach shows you how you can do this with a marked deck too. It does still require a double backer, but no other gaffs, so that's really cool. Another variation is done with a normal deck of cards, not marked, but it does still require a double backer. This other variation is not entirely impromptu because it does require a stack setup. The stack is complicated enough where I don't think that I would be able to pull it off, during the middle of a set, but that's what a cold deck switch is for anyway, right? So what are some of the negatives about this trick? I'm going to start right there with that. These gaffs are kind of simple. That's not the negative itself. When I first opened this, I already had almost all of them. And when I saw them, I'm like, oh man, really? And I was going into it and I'm like, well, I can't figure out how to do the trick. So I went and watched the tutorials and whoa. But however, if you do this basic version of the trick, and you can watch the trailer, you can watch the performance, what they're not showing is you're left really dirty because you have a handful of gaff cards. And this trick requires a good amount of audience management. The problem is, My first thought when I learned how to do this was, there's a really good chance that you could get it wrong and the spectator will see the gaffs. I say this from a lot of experience on my side. Anytime I've ever used a gaff, unfortunately, the audience, especially if it's in their hands, they've realized it. So I normally work without them. Almost 99% of everything I do is without a gaff card, including double backers. Because once I hand a deck of cards to somebody, most of the time, if not all the time, they figure out what the thing is right away. So my decks of cards, when I hand them out, they are just regular cards. To this point, in one of the tutorials, Clarke, he is playing the role of spectator while Christian Grace is performing. Ironically, without I don't think meaning to, and without drawing any attention to it afterwards, he does the one thing that I fear any spectator would do that would ruin the trick, and he looks through the cards, which, if you're using the gaffs, whoa, that would spoil the whole trick for you. However, the exact performance that they were doing was with a regular deck, not gaffed, so it didn't actually spoil it in that case. And that's the version that I performed, and it works out really well because then you just have regular cards. If you, however, do enjoy gaffs, if you work with these, then by all means, if you have good audience management skills, awesome. So, what about some of the positives about this? I mean, those negatives, they weren't really too bad. The idea that gaffs leave you dirty, that's true about any gaff card. The positive is, if you work with gaffs and you're comfortable with it, hey, no worries, right? Overall though, the reset for the basic version, the reset isn't very difficult at all. They even explain it in the tutorials. If you're doing table hopping or things, it's quick, it's simple. I did mention there are different variations, and one of them does require a stack. That stack is a little bit much. I wouldn't say that the reset for that one is doable, but who knows, maybe you're fast at that. The biggest pro, the biggest thing for this for me is the effect of a card physically disappearing from a spectator's hands is astounding. That to me is even stronger than the card appearing in your pocket. That is the bonus. The card appearing somewhere else is the bonus. The real trick is that card disappearing from their hand. When I performed this, and it was just for family, but that moment, it blew my mind, and I'm the one that's, they're helping do it. So that was really awesome. Then that cherry on top of the card just appearing somewhere else, that's the real extra magical moment. You make something disappear, you have to make it reappear. This is the full package. In addition to those videos that they have are great. The tutorials are fantastic. Like the basic handling with the gaffs, I'm personally not going to use that. The variations, the ones that use marked decks or regular decks, those are the ones that I would perform. They're not the same in that you can show that this specific card disappeared right away, which with the gaffs you can, but it is the same effect where the card will disappear from their hands and it can appear somewhere else. So that's really strong, it's really good. I do think that the gaff version gives a stronger magical experience. However, I personally am not comfortable enough to do it. So all this, what exactly are you getting for the $35? We mentioned we're getting this packet with gaffs, we're getting a deck of cards, we're getting tutorials. That's it. That's what you're getting. To me, I have tons of these. I have tons of decks. Like I mentioned, I have most of these gaff cards, and if you're a card magician who has purchased gaffs before, you might have most of these too. So this, not a huge thing. The hour and a half of tutorials though, that is huge. I learned really good information, not just for this trick, but for audience management, handling different things, what to do in different scenarios, which I've already taken notes on it and applied to other tricks that I do. So is it worth it? For me, yes. For me, this is great. Like, I'm actually happy that I get a packet full of gaffs. They're specific for this trick. However, I can use these for other things too, which is great. And they're bicycle deck cards. A lot of the gaffs I have, some are bicycle, but a lot are other decks. So the fact that I have one nice, concise packet of them, I can now do a lot of different tricks that maybe need just one of these, not all of them. So is it worth it? I can't say for you though, that's up to you to decide if it's worth it. I recommend highly for you to go and watch the trailer for the trick. You know what's included in it here. Do keep in mind that there are multiple variations. You don't need gaff cards to do it. You can do it with a marked deck, you can do it with a non-marked deck. A lot of different things to go on. The tutorials, so much information involved in them. They really know what they're talking about, and like I mentioned, you're getting it from two very different viewpoints. I think that the way they did this, and this is my personal opinion, but I would love to see more, if not all, Magic tutorials in this format where you just have multiple people in the room going back and forth and not just teaching, but also learning themselves. I love the whole experience, and I'll be rewatching it to take more notes later on. And there you have it, folks. This is Any Thought of Card to Pocket. Ellusionist has already sold out once, and at the current moment, they are taking pre-orders for the next batch. So if this does sound like your kind of thing, grab one now. Again, link is in the description. As always, I'm gbabbits, and I'll catch you next time.